7 gets started with the Sean Payton revenge game. We're picking that in every game in Week 7 today on Locked On NFL Scouting.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5.
Joe, we have Week 7, a lot of really compelling games. We have a Super Bowl preview or rematch from last year. We have potential Russell Wilson quarterback change for the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. We get a Monday Night Football game with really compelling matchups with the Bucs and Baker Mayfield playing against an old AFC North foe and the Baltimore Ravens. And you have the Sean Payton revenge game, which people forget. The Saints traded Sean Payton, which does make this an actual revenge game as compared to just, he retired and then came back and signed with a different team. He was traded from the Saints, so it is a formal revenge game for Sean Payton.
After he retired, right? Is there bad blood? I don't really have the vibe from the Saints fans. Are they like anti-Sean Payton, or are they happy to get the first-round pick?
I'm sure they were happy to get the pick, but
brought him a lot of success, right? Like good for a long time, a Super Bowl, right? That's good.
Run its course, I think, and I think Sean saw the writing on the wall of where the team was at, and you've seen that since, right? They've been competitive, but they haven't been what Sean's reputation as a head coach has been. Our reputation never been better.
Yeah,
12-2 last week with the picks.
There it is, the approval Morocco. It's back.
Yeah, first time of the year, I think.
Maybe longer.
And the show went 11-3, picking against the spread. So this was big performance from everybody in Week 6. We kind of joked about the chaos of the first 4 weeks. If you're new to the preview shows on Thursdays, we pick every game. Joe and I just pick a winner. We talk about the game. And the show, based on our roster power rankings, actually we convert that into a formula that determines our own point total, like spreads. And we cross-reference that versus what FanDuel.com and their sportsbook has. And if the spread is bigger than the spread one way or another, then that's the team that we choose to cover based off of the FanDuel numbers. So great week for everybody in Week 6. No pressure. Now it's time to do it again in Week 7. And we are starting with that Sean Payton revenge game where the Saints just don't have anybody playing on offense. Derek Carr's out. Chris Olave's out. Rashid Shaheed's out. Their offensive line had a bunch of injuries early in the early in the season. Ryan Ramczyk being another one of their best players. Going against Vance Joseph and that defense, I do worry a little bit about Bo Nix and being able to score points. I'd probably take the under before I took the actual spread, but I think Denver's going to win this game. I will take the coaching of Denver going with a legit defense going against the Saints team that is just super banged up.
Yeah, and the Saints, where they give up 50 points to the Bucs literally 5 days ago. The only advantage for the Saints in this game is that it is a short week at their place. I don't think it's enough. Give me Denver.
Okay. The show likes Denver to cover a minus 2.5 point spread as well.
All right.
Okay. We're so blessed to start our Sundays this week with another London game. Good news is it's at 9:30. You don't have to wait 3.5 less hours for football to be on your TV. But the bad news is the game is the 1-5 Patriots playing against the 1-5 Jacksonville Jaguars. Turn that Discord off.
Yeah, I got it. I just did. I got it.
Yeah. Jacksonville's favored by 5.5 points. It's a large number. Drake May looked good. It was never the concern of whether or not he was going to look good. It was whether he was going to take a beating back there, and he did. But Jacksonville played last week in London, maybe saved Dougie P's job, right? They got walloped by Chicago, but they stayed out there, so it's not like you could fire them when you get back to the
Well,
States.
they can trade a player, though. They can trade a player to Seattle.
Yeah.
In the middle of
bags. Not only are you going back to the States, you got to go to the far west country.
I don't know what Roy Robertson Harrison's family situation is. What's that phone call to his wife like? Hey, no,
pack a few bags.
Gotta get this
go.
Boy,
I think I'm going to take the Jaguars to win the game.
I am too. I think it's a big advantage that they're out there and have stayed out there. But also, they have talent, man. That's the thing about Jacksonville. And those edge rushers against these Patriots offensive tackles, come on, man. That's not a fair fight. That's got to be a difference maker. Jaguars got to win this one.
I will say the show does like New England to cover the 5.5.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I would not be surprised either, but I will not be touching that game. Big spread. The Buffalo Bills with newly acquired. Did Amari Cooper move this line at all? Like, are you aware of?
No, I've seen this up into like 9.5. It's actually come down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Buffalo's at home playing the Titans, and the Bills are favored by 8.5 points, which is a large number, and I think it's probably warranted.
Yeah, Bills played the last 3 on the road at Baltimore, Houston, and the Jets. They're probably pretty excited to get back to Orchard Park. And Tennessee's defensively pretty strong football team, but they have no passing game. I mean, Will Levis statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL. Bills are getting healthy on defense. I think they take care of business.
I also think the Bills take care of business, and the show thinks the Bills will take care of business by more than 8.5 points. The show likes the Bills to cover -8.5. Big game. This is a big game. So you want to do this one and then go to break?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So Houston at Green Bay. 2 teams that if we told you they were playing in, I'll be conservative and say the divisional round. Would you be surprised?
Yes, because they're playing different conferences. So that'd be very.
Not playing each other. I'm saying these are 2 respective representatives of their conferences in the divisional round. I don't want to say they're final 2 in their conference, but like they feel like final 4 type of teams.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of my expectation for these teams kind of going into the year, but also validating it with how they've played to this point.
Green Bay at home favored by 2.5, which is an interesting number just from the sense that typically you get 3 points for playing at home. So in a vacuum, if this was a neutral site game, if this was the London game, theoretically, is Houston favored in this game? I think it's so the matchups here. Houston feels like they can get it whenever they want it offensively. Obviously, the Nico Collins injury is a bummer, and that hurts them quite a bit from a alpha receiver. But they have a really deep wide receiver room. I think this is where the addition of Stephon Diggs can really come up big for them in this stretch of games. And for Green Bay and from their standpoint, they took care of business and really got on top of the Cardinals quickly. I think that's 2 teams that are coming off of playing lesser opponents, doing the things that they were supposed to do. What do you feel matchups wise here is a big piece of the puzzle?
I really think a lot about the Packers on defense, and they've been so good at taking away the football. Kyle, they have played 6 games this year, and 5 of them they have 3 takeaways. And the one that they didn't have 3 takeaways, they still had 2. They are taking away the football, and I think C.J. Stroud has a little bit more appetite for risk this year, and some of that's working against him, right? Their balls are being intercepted. And I think no Nico Collins in this game, I think is pretty significant. And I think that this rushing offense for Houston is a lot better with Joe Mixon in the fray.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little bit concerned about Houston on defense. Lassiter injured. I think that there could be some big plays in the passing game for Green Bay at home. So I think that's kind of where I try to find a mismatch. It's this Green Bay passing game against this Houston secondary that's shorthanded, starting a rookie at safety. I think that's going to be really a deciding factor in this game for me.
So you're picking the Packers?
picking the Packers at home.
I will also ride with the Packers, and the show likes the Packers minus 2.5 by the slimmest of margins. So everybody here on the show riding everything together so far, with the exception of the show picking the Patriots to cover the spread, which you and I don't have to worry about. So a lot of lock and step here early. We've got a barn burner in Miami and Indy coming up right after the break. So make sure you stick with us here on Locked On NFL Scouting.
For most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Patrick Mahomes rookie card just isn't in the cards. I love collecting, but that's some serious money to drop. Thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your polls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent, with a full grade rationale provided and explanation of how your card was scored. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform that you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/lockedonnfl and use code LockedOnNFL. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL, code LockedOnNFL for 10% off your first purchase. Folks, purchasing tickets can be a stressful process, but it doesn't have to be, and it is not if you have Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to purchase tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. I love this app. It's very easy to navigate, and they have a lot of cool features like flash deals. They give you the ability to turn on all-in pricing. You want to know what the image is going to look like from your seat, what the view is going to be. They'll give you a picture of that as well. Plus, they specialize in last-minute tickets, which is such a big deal. I know everyone's busy. You don't know what you're doing 2 weeks or 3 months from now. Maybe you want to go to an event. You can get a great deal on tickets right up until the day of the event over at Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
I have a question for you. Off topic. We saved off topic here for segment 2.
Okay.
You have a Grammarly account.
Yeah.
I have a Grammarly account.
Yeah.
And my question for you with your Grammarly account is, have you recognized like a painfully obvious writing flaw that you repeatedly do, and even as Grammarly like corrects you in doing it, you continue to do it anyway?
Yeah, I'm very bad at possessive nouns that end in S. So I write about the Bills for my Substack, and so Bills, and then having to make that possessive with that apostrophe at the end. Boy, am I bad at that. And the thing about Grammarly is it's like not necessarily sure that Bills are like a football team. So it's like they think it's Bills with like an apostrophe between the L and the S, like a guy named Bill. So boy, we have a lot of struggles with that.
And I don't know why I do this, I cannot wrap my head around putting a comma before the word and.
I can't do no. Me and Grammarly fight about this every single day, and I disagree with it. I disagree with that comma.
Like that was such like an emphatic part of like me learning the English language when I was in school, was like the and removes the need for the last comma.
Yeah, I'm out on that. Are we supposed to? Dude, I erase every single one of them. Like, Grammarly, you got to kick rocks on this. That's a daily fight.
I have a writing style for 3013, and it's there, and I'm like, I'm going to accept it. I'm not going to like it, but I'm going to accept it.
And you're already comma heavy guy. You already are, you know?
I am. Yeah. So then I do on my stories in Google Docs, and I write it, and then I put it into Grammarly, and I go through like each correction bit by bit. And sure enough, there's like 200 corrections, and probably a third of them are just comma before the word and I'm like, all right, whatever. So
in fact, if I could learn how to tell Grammarly that I don't want that to be corrected, I'd like to know. Well, I'm not doing it.
Perhaps that's a challenge for a listener to help you out. Let Joe know. I can't change it because I'm not responsible for the style guide for 30.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to sit here and pick all these football games, have all these opinions on these teams. The number one bit of feedback is, that's what people are going to talk. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so don't let us down, everybody. Dolphins at Colts, 1:00. Potentially the last, mercifully, Tyler Huntley game of the season for the Dolphins. They're coming off their bye against perhaps whatever I need Grammarly, the opposite of mercifully, like no more Joe Flacco for the Colts.
Boy, that's so bad for the team, Just getting worse at quarterback by not having Joe Flacco.
Yeah, we did a crossover with Locked On Colts. If you're interested over on Locked On Dolphins, it's running here shortly. The Colts are favored by 3 at home. This number has come down. I've seen this number as high as 4.5. So it's come down towards Miami.
Do you want to know why?
Because Anthony Richardson's playing quarterback for the Colts instead of Joe Flacco.
Right.
I'm picking the Colts. I have concerns about the Dolphins and their willingness to stay committed to the run game to the degree in which I think they need to win the game. I'm concerned about the matchup of the Colts offensive line, and I know they're banged up. I know Bortolini's come in at center, and I know Will Fries went down for the year with a leg injury. But Miami, they got a rotation up front. They got 2 really stud defensive tackles, but they rotate. And when those guys aren't on the field, they give up a lot of chunk plays on the ground. That's kind of the ID of Indianapolis. Richardson, he's the kind of quarterback that plays bad against a lot of teams and plays against Miami and has given Miami fits for years. And I know there's a different scheme, and I know you got some new personnel here, but I'm going to refuse to believe that Miami's going to play against this kind of quarterback well, because they very rarely do. And there's a run game element there, and the Colts are at home. So surprise me, Mike McDaniel, but I'm picking the Colts at home.
The Colts have some injuries too, right? Ryan Kelly, Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor, Braden Smith, Michael Pittman. Are these guys going to play?
Who knows? Scientists don't even know. That's the downside about doing a Sunday 1:00 preview on Thursday at 9 a.m. But here we are.
My strategy for this game is I'm picking whatever you're picking, but you could see the path for Miami off the bye. Like, if they should be able to run the ball. Everybody runs the ball on the Colts.
They should.
Right. So that's
but your coach has to be willing to call run plays. And your coach says Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so he says, I want to throw the ball.
Everything tells me that Miami should win this football game.
Go ahead. Be different than me.
This one?
Please. I'd be thrilled. Because because if you get an extra game on me, I can't be mad about it.
The Dolphins are a more talented team that should be able to expose the biggest flaws on the Colts coming off of the bye. Man, I've been wrong about Miami a lot this year, Kyle.
I'm sure you caught some of the Monday Night Football game in Week 4, in which the Dolphins had every reason to run a Titans team that had 70 passing yards, run the ball nonstop, and they said, no, Tyler Huntley first start. Let's throw a bunch of perimeter screens. Go balls down.
I'm riding the Colts with you, but I'm telling you, everything within me tells me to pick the Dolphins, especially because it's win this game, get to 3-3. Tua comes back, and let's see what the heck happens in a weird AFC.
Sure. It could happen, but I need to see it, because as much as the quarterback injury has been really frustrating, I think the coaching's been the most frustrating part of the Dolphins this season. Year 3, they talked all offseason about how they're pushing the limits of what the offense is capable of, and it's like, oh, you just added more layers to everything that you do, instead of let's get better football players or better develop our guys to execute. It's like, oh, well, we got more motions to change the angles in the run game and this, that, the other. We can do a whole podcast on that. We won't. So you and I are on the Colts. Show has the Dolphins to cover the spread. Falcons, Seahawks.
Yes.
This is in Seattle?
No, it's in Atlanta.
Are you sure?
Yes. We can certainly double check that. It's Falcons and Seahawks, right?
What was Kirk Cousins talking about? He was asked something yesterday about going into Seattle to play, and he was like, go into your trap, take over your trap. And it was a big thing because Kirk is using language that cultural references.
This game's in Atlanta.
Game is in Atlanta. Okay. Atlanta -3.
Yes.
Like the
Falcons. Yeah, I like the Falcons. I just don't like the way Seattle's playing right now. I think there are issues on their O-line, issues on their D-line. And Falcons are playing good ball, man. Kirk is really settling in. They've won 3 in a row. They have plenty of momentum. They 2 convincing wins in a row. They beat a good Bucs team. Yeah, I like Atlanta at home.
The show likes Atlanta minus. I'll send you this clip, but there is a clip from like this week of Kirk Cousins talking about going to Seattle to play the Seahawks.
Oh, somebody's got to let him know.
All right. NFC North showcase. Detroit, Ben Johnson, Vikings, Brian Flores. Perhaps the best coaching matchup of the week. I think is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's true. This is fun.
You got Shanahan, Andy Reid, and Spags, so that should be a good one. But
yeah,
I don't know. This is like the hot names right now from a coordinator perspective. Is these two? I like Detroit.
Oh yeah, me too. I like Detroit pretty big in this one. I know Minnesota's coming off the bye, but Detroit is great against the blitz. And I think Sam Darnold's turned back into a pumpkin over the last game and a half. And Goff's playing out of his mind. I think Detroit wins this one pretty convincingly. And with them being like they're road dogs in this game. Like this is a nice money line bet for me. I've already got action on it for sure.
Let's see if we can move the line here. The show likes Detroit to cover +1.5 as well. I will have real action on this game.
Oh, I already do. Yeah.
I can't believe Detroit's dogs, and I know Minnesota and their record is what it is, and they've looked great in moments, but as you said, the sample size for Sam Darnold, it's been a little bit more concerning recently, and get up on top of Green Bay, and since halftime of that Green Bay game, there's been some questions.
Yeah.
So I know we got to get the break. Let's squeeze this one in here, because I'd like to talk about it as little as possible. Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cincinnati's favored on the road by 5.5 points against the Browns, where Joe Burrow is 1-5 in his career playing against the Browns.
Is that true?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's 1-5 against the Browns?
Yes. Oh, he's about to be 2-5.
Okay, he's about to be 2-5. That stuns me. Yeah, Bengals
Remember
on the road.
They had like was it the weird game last year?
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right.
They've had some super weird games against the Browns, but I'll pull up the split so I can tell you the exact stats. Joe Burrow, 6 games, 1-5 against the Browns. Despite throwing 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in those 6 games, he's been sacked 20 times. It's the second most any team has ever sacked Joe Burrow, behind just the Ravens, who have played 2 extra games against him. I'll spare you getting into the weeds there, but yeah, Joe Burrow 1-5 currently against the Browns.
Yeah, about to be 2-5.
2-5, and I think things are going to get a little ugly for Cleveland. The show likes the Browns to cover +5.5, though.
All right, we've got an NFC East showdown. We got a Super Bowl rematch, primetime games, and more. Stick with us, folks. We're breaking that down for you on the other side of it. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And folks, listen, all the lines that we're talking about today are over at FanDuel that you can get. For example, I am in on the money line for the Lions over the Vikings. It sounds like Kyle is very much in on that as well.
Yes.
I'll give you another spoiler. There's a money line coming up that's going to be in the next segment that I'm very much in on for a little parlay action on for this weekend's games. Plus, the player props are really fun. I've been enjoying. Oh, you'll find out in just a minute there, okay. Kyle Crabbs. I got one for sure. I've already parlayed it together. I felt good about it this morning. Okay. I spent studying these games. I'm like, I like this action. So if you like the action, check it out. There's also a great deal for you over at FanDuel. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook.
Well, now I just kind of want to zip through all the other games until we figure out what this game is.
Yeah, you'll find out.
It's a money line underdog.
Yep.
Okay.
I feel great about it. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not Giants against Eagles, which is our next game. Philly on the road -3. Saquon Barkley return to MetLife.
Oh boy. Yeah, no Andrew Thomas, Kyle. That's a big loss for the Giants,
The
man.
Giants are a really banged up football team right now.
Gosh, and Wandale, or not Wandale, Malik Neighbors, and that concussions lingering. I like Philly. I think this is definitely going to be like this is going to be ugly.
20-16.
Man, something like that. Yeah, an ugly football game, but I think the Giants are just a little bit too shorthanded for this one.
The show likes Philly to cover -3 as well, and I'm fully there with you as far as this game. And Philly made it as interesting as they possibly could against Cleveland last week with a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. But if you told me that a game had that similar kind of script where Philly's generally in control, Giants make a weird play, and it's kind of a game that is in question late, like I wouldn't be surprised, but we're all riding Philly together. Rams -6.5 at home against the Raiders.
What do you do with this game?
Throw it on a screen out of sight and check the score at the end of the game.
I'm just going to pick the team with the better quarterback that's at home. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I think from a coaching perspective, I think from a quarterback perspective, is Cooper Kupp back?
It feels like there's some momentum there.
Like it.
Yeah.
The Raiders having traded Davante Adams, but there's some seeds and inklings of dissatisfaction with Crosby. So you're hearing all kinds of
two-hand shove the coach on the sideline. Come on.
Right. He said that was his guy, though. He said that was a love shove.
Yeah, that's typically what I do with my best friends is I shove them.
I've never been shoved by you.
I know. Maybe next time I see you, I'm just get ready, baby.
You said your best friends you give love shoves to.
Well, that was tongue in cheek, but get yourself ready. I'm coming in with a two-hand punch. You better be ready to swipe.
Great. -6.5 though. It's a big number.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any money on that, but I think
the Raiders to cover +6.5.
I think that's probably pretty smart. If you made me bet with the spread, I probably would pick the Raiders. But the Rams, I think, win the game.
I also think the Rams win the game. And
who, respectfully, have been overmatched in some games lately and have played very competitive.
The Rams? Yeah, they've been playing games with one hand tied.
Right.
One hand and one leg tied behind their back, right? Just they have been walloped by injuries and the competitive games nonetheless. And McVay said that they were on the bye last week. The energy's been good. Everybody kind of understands, hey, there's been some unfortunate circumstances around the team, and let's stay the course and get it right. And it's a great opportunity for them to do that at home against the Rams coming out of the bye, or against the Raiders coming out of the bye. Carolina, 8.5-point road dogs against the Commanders. I also think it's fair to assume this is not the underdog money line that you like.
No, I like the Commanders to win this game. The Panthers can't play defense, man. And part of that's because of injuries that they've had, but this is a nightmare against Jaden Daniels and how good this Washington offense is going to be. Like, they're going to score, and I don't think the Panthers have much resistance that they can offer on defense, and I certainly don't think they can score with Washington. Commanders at home after their loss to the Ravens.
The show does like the Panthers to cover +8.5, though. One of those big.
Yeah.
Can this be a backdoor cover for a touchdown?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think you look, because the Commanders I still think are vulnerable on defense. So they're not a team that I expect to go out there and just mop the floor with every team. But
Jonathan Brooks had his practice window open.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
A helpful boost for Carolina offensively. I wouldn't touch the money or the spread though. I like it's big numbers like that get a little scary with the unpredictability of how games can break and stuff like that.
27-13 late in the game, and like you said, a garbage touchdown. It's 27-20. It's like
final 90 seconds. Go tempo, score a touchdown. Yeah. Go for two, don't get it. You still
right.
You still cover. Like that could get really messy. So now we have Chiefs. San Francisco is the standalone 425 game.
This is my road money line. Give me the Chiefs, man. Give me the Chiefs. I know that there's a lot for this game, a revenge game for San Francisco. Brock Purdy's playing very well. but this is a Chiefs team coming off the bye, and I think they take care of this business on the road. I think the 49ers have some momentum, but like I still think that their trenches are underwhelming to me, and I feel like that's going to be an advantage for Chiefs. Plus, they have that Patrick Mahomes guy.
Man, I'm going to go different from you in this one. And the reason why is I think there's a level of desperation that San Francisco feels at 3-3 to not fall too far behind in this conference that I just don't think Kansas City feels, because they're 5-0. And I do think there is some element of getting up to play the game if you're San Francisco. There's been a lot of guys that have been there for one, if not two, losses to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, you get this game at home. You felt like you put some things together against Seattle and scored a lot of points. Give me the 49ers. The show does like the Chiefs to cover +1.5, so I'm going to be on an island here. But
listen,
those desperation games, I think, for San Francisco, like, you really can't afford to fall to 3-4 if you're going to be in the position you have been at the end of seasons in past years to try to get back and do this thing this time around.
I don't disagree with you on that. And for the Chiefs coming off the bye, Seattle played on Thursday Night Football, so they got a little extra time here for themselves compared to a typical normal week. And in a lot of ways, I think the 49ers are the NFC version of the Bills against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have won the last 3 times in the playoffs, and then the Bills beat them in the regular season the next year every single time. So, like, it's not like the Chiefs are great at avoiding the revenge loss. They're just like, okay, cool. Like, have your moment.
We don't care about it in October. Go ahead.
Right. I remember I was at Arrowhead. The Bills beat the Chiefs. I walked out of that stadium. The Chiefs fans were very kind. They're like, hey, great game. I was like, you know what? I appreciate that. I wish I could give you this one, and I'll take the one in January. You know what I mean? And that's just life for the Chiefs right now. I think there's a path for you to be right. I just don't think that this is going to be a fair enough fight in the trenches for them to get it done.
Okay. Well, that takes us to Sunday Night Football. We have 2 more games. Jets, Davante Adams will play against the Steelers, where Russell Wilson may play. Jets favored by 1.5 points on the road. Monday Night Football. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How are the Jets going to block the Steelers up front?
I'm concerned about it. Aaron's getting the ball out of his hands pretty quick, though.
He is.
The Jets' defensive line's not good, Kyle.
Right? Well, the Steelers' offensive line is super bad.
So I think that helps mitigate that a little bit.
It negates that.
Chuck Clark's out. Is DJ Reed going to be able to go? I'll tell you what. I think the Jets win this game.
You do?
I do. I think the Jets win this game. The thing about Davante Adams coming in is I know he's new, but he's not really new, right?
He's got better chemistry with Aaron than anybody that's been thrown with Aaron for the last 2 off seasons in New York.
Right. And 3 weeks in a row, they've had a chance to have a game-winning drive and couldn't come through. I mean, that's pretty significant. I'm concerned about the Jets D-line, but I'm really concerned about Russell Wilson. And you talk about his first start with this team. That's kind of, I don't know. I don't love their offensive personnel. I think the Jets win this one.
I'm going to ride with you. I had the mentality of what you were going to do for the Colts game. I was going to do with you in this game.
All right.
Because I don't have
I'm still thinking about those damn Dolphins right now. I've been thinking about the whole show.
You have until I hit end recording to change your mind.
I know.
Let me know. The show likes the Jets to cover -1.5 on the road as well, which brings us to our last game of the week.
Doubleheader on Monday Football.
Oh,
we
Lord.
got 2. ESPN Plus, baby, 9:00 East Coast ads. We're in trouble. We have no chance on Monday.
Ravens at Bucs. Feels like the Ravens are hitting their stride.
Yeah, man. I think that their pass defense can be a little shaky, but I feel like this Ravens front can eat up this Bucs interior offensive line. Baker's getting sacked. Like, a lot of the pressure to sack conversions kind of concerning, and they got some dogs that can really get after you. I know that the Buccaneers kind of found a run game last week. I don't think it matters against Baltimore. They're too tough up front. I think the Ravens win this one on the road.
I will take the Ravens as well. The show likes the Ravens to cover -3.5 on the road. So no respect for a team that just scored 50 points last week.
Ravens are different, man.
Will be fun to see Derrick Henry in the run game against Vita Vea, though.
All right.
I got some popcorn for that one.
It's going to be, there's going to be some heavyweight collisions there for sure.
Yes, there are. And I was hoping we're going to forget this game existed. Chargers favored by 2.5 on the road against Arizona on the ESPN Plus game that kicks off at 9:00 for the Monday Night Football doubleheader.
Yeah, we'll all be watching the Bucs and Ravens and then going to bed. That's what's going to happen. What a weird game this is, man. Arizona, scrappy, but also, I mean, they've scored 14 or less in 3 of their last 4 games.
Yeah.
The Chargers, you can play a little bit of defense. Give me the Chargers.
Chargers?
Yeah, give me the Chargers.
The show likes the Cardinals to cover plus 2.5, and I am going to ride the Cardinals at home.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's the gut feeling.
It's a week before Call of Duty, so he'll be dialed in, right?
Right. And you know who he plays Call of Duty weekend?
Yeah.
Not mad about that one bit.
Hey, baby, let's go. Go beat the Colts. You'll have a winning record before you can blink, man.
I have no conviction on this game at all. But Cardinals is a team that has felt like they've been close in some spaces. They are at home. Chargers, I'm just not ready to buy all the way in on yet. So I'll pick the Cardinals.
All right, so this is a decision point. If I'm picking the Dolphins, I got to do it right now, don't I?
Correct. Because you have the sheet open?
I have the sheet open.
You have until I finish wrapping up the show to change your pick in the sheet. And if I see it, then that means it's done. And if not, then you're riding with the Colts. But that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Locked On NFL Scouting. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He is Joe Marino. You can find us and all of our shows here on Locked On Network on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm watching the sheet. We appreciate you guys for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. Come back and see us. We got Takes on Takes tomorrow where you give your hot takes and we give our reactions to your hot takes here on Locked On NFL Scouting. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino. We are out of here. Joe has changed the pick.